Hello and welcome back to Talkin' Giants. Today is April 10th, 2026. This is Talkin' Giants presented by the Fanatics Sportsbook with my friend Shaun Marash. And Shaun, just when we want to keep talking about the draft and do all of our themed episodes, the Giants are throwing some more curveballs. They signed everybody's favorite player, everybody's player that they wanted them to sign. It's Daniel Faalele from the Baltimore Ravens, 6'8". 370, 380 pounds. He's a pretty big dude. And Shaun, for the other part of this episode, we are going to do the Caleb Downs Giants mock draft. We're going to take the same player at pick 5. We'll talk about Caleb Downs and overall thoughts on him, and then the rest of our mock draft is going to play out. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, Justin. I'm doing all right. I guess I respect the fact that, for better or for worse, John Harbaugh, he said he doesn't want to go to the buffet line hungry. I guess he's trying to find some kind of solutions. I say that plural at right guard so that they don't enter the draft hungry. But look, I'm not exactly thrilled, but we'll break into it.
Yeah, so let's talk about Daniel Faalele and overall the Giants' approach to their offensive line. But first, Faalele as a player. Okay. Like I said at the top, he's 6'8", 370, 380 pounds. PFF has him at 380. Pro Football Reference has him at 370. He was taken in the 4th round of the 2022 NFL Draft from the University of Minnesota. And I remember being on this show, being enticed by him as a tackle. He was a right tackle at Minnesota, and he was even a tackle lining up. He didn't start in his first 2 years as a Raven, but that's kind of where he was lined up as a backup. And then 2024, 2025, the Ravens offensive line, they kind of get to a desperate spot, Shaun, and they put Faalele at right guard over the last 2 years. He has played in every game. He has logged over 1,000 snaps over the last 2 years, but the level of play that Daniel Faalele has gave the Ravens, I think, has left a lot to be desired. And I honestly think that's somewhat being nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is being nice. Now, look, we could start with a positive right here. You mentioned the snaps thing. At the very least, durability is not an issue for Daniel Faalele. So yeah, just in terms of you would rather have continuity, stability, if he is a guy that does have to start at right guard for this team, for better or for worse, he's a down and down out guy, which ironically enough was what Greg Van Roten provided the New York Giants. But I guess you could flip around and say, when you watch the film, is that a good thing that he's out there every single snap? Because maybe he's out there every single snap because he spends half the time in the dirt, Justin.
Yeah, man, that's the thing where as a run blocker, I think he can provide somewhat of an advantage just because he's big, but I really don't think he uses his size all that well as a pass blocker. I mean, there are some really concerning numbers. Daniel Faalele pass blocking efficiency numbers over the last 2 years amongst guards. It was 96.6 in 2025. That was 49th out of 61 guards. 2024, it was 96.9. It was 36 out of 57. And believe it or not, if you look at just true pass sets, those numbers do wind up getting worse. Shaun, there's a couple linemen. We were talking about this before the show. I was sharing my screen and we were watching some Ravens runs of 10 plus yards. And, hey, if there's going to be any time where Daniel Faalele may throw a good block, it's going to be when the Baltimore Ravens had a rushing play of 10 plus yards. And I couldn't believe, even showing Ravens runs of 10 plus yards, the amount of times being like, there's Daniel Faalele on the ground. There's Faalele just being totally unaware of space and what's going on around him. It was quite unbelievable. So I will say, as a positive, and not to cut you off, I do want to say as a positive, in the run game, working on double teams and moving up to the secondary level, that was probably the most consistent thing that I saw him doing well.
For sure. And again, the little bit we were just watching there too, you guy can't be asked to take on any kind of like double teams though. Like, he thrives at the idea. Ironically enough, you watch Ricard and Likely in some of those clips, do their job. This has just got to be on man. You ask them to move one guy, but you're signing up in a lot, or you're lining up in some power sets, and that's how the holes are going to get opened up. He does that job, but I guess also that's what the Giants are going to ask him to do, right? When you invest heavy in tight end and you bring in a fullback, that is probably the kind of blocking sets on some of these runs down the field that you're hoping for, and you're hoping that kind of system is just what translates here for the Giants.
Yeah.
You can hear the dejectedness in our voice as we try to find positives, by the way. You could hear it.
Yeah, and Daniel Faalele has now joined the club of certain Giants players and certain Giants tackles. Nate Solder is part of this crew. Evan Neal is part of this crew, where amazingly they find themselves facing the quarterback and their backs are towards the defense, which, I mean, I don't know if you know anything about football, you typically want to be facing the defense and with your back to the quarterback. Just totally unaware of space. Like, it's so unbelievable how big he is and how out of control of his body he really is. And it ends in these awesome screenshots and Ravens fans kind of laughing that he's away and that he's no longer their problem.
Yeah.
I hope, Shaun, I'm just talking about him as a player. I hope that this is not this can't be an answer at right guard. Let me just say, I not only hope this is not an answer at right guard for the Giants. There's still the NFL draft. There's still an opportunity to sign a Kevin Zeitler. There still is an opportunity to sign a Greg Van Roten, even though we are basically 2 weeks away from the draft. What are we waiting for? This cannot be the answer at right guard for the 2026 season.
I'm concerned, Justin, that it is. I am. If you're Greg Van Roten at this point and you're not signed, and I don't know what the negotiations have been going on behind the scenes. I got the feeling he wanted to be here. And you see them sign John Harbaugh's former starting guard who just started all those games the last 2 years. And you have an entire draft where we assume, and look, you never want to, like, again, I'm going to use John Harbaugh's own terms, go to the buffet line hungry. You assume the Giants are going to add to the interior of the offensive line in the draft. What round it is, we don't know. Could it be the first? Could it be the fifth? Whatever. You're starting to play a game of musical chairs and bodies in the offensive line room that make me wonder, Justin, with this signing specifically, if the Giants just know those guys are not being signed and that Faalele is just an insurance in terms of, well, maybe they do have plans for Marcus Bowe, or maybe they do have plans for, Francis Maui Noah or something like that. And if not, this is the backup plan B to that. I don't know, man. Like, I kind of feel like I'd be surprised at this point if Greg Van Roten is back after this signing. It feels like the dots are connecting that way.
Yeah, there's only so many things that you can do, and they bring it back they're bringing in Lucas Patrick, which we kind of view that as like the Austin Schlottman type of replacement, but still, that is a guy that can play guard, and it's a veteran that I don't think they're just going to be like, all right, sayonara, see ya in August. That he's not going to make the team, because what other backup center do they have? They have like a Jake Kubis. Okay, is he going to make it with this new coaching staff and this new kind of sort of regime? I don't know. Marcus Bowe right now is the swing tackle. I think it's reckless to just call him. He could just be the backup for everybody. You're bringing back an Evan Neal who was on the roster last year, hurt for the majority of the year, but they're going to run out of slots. And I think just opportunities just to add these guys. And I just go back to, if they were going to add a guy like Greg Van Roten, if they're going to add a guy like Kevin Zeitler, I just feel like just make it work. I don't even think that this is me being an impatient fan. It's April 10th.
Yeah.
It's April 8th at the time that we're recording this. I don't think they're going to make a signing in the next 2 days.
That'd be funny.
That would be pretty funny. And then we would have to scrap all this. But I don't think this is me even being impatient. Just, I would feel so much better about the draft, the team, kind of everything, if they just brought back Greg Van Roten, who it's such a small, minuscule thing, Shaun, but right now they are entering the NFL draft, where in the first 2 rounds, you almost have to take an interior offensive lineman. And that was my number one big priority ask this offseason and this free agency. And they were doing a great job of it. The Giants were doing a great job of kind of plugging up little itty bitty areas here and there where they didn't have to go into the draft to do anything. Are there still holes and needs? Or is there a hole at linebacker? Yes. Do they desperately need to take one within the first 2 rounds? No. It won't kill them to have Micah McFadden and Tremaine Edmonds. Do they desperately need wide receiver? Yes, in the long haul. Do they desperately need to take that in the first 2 rounds? No, they've done enough to plug enough to get by for 2026. So that's my whole point with my pre-free agency ask, is just don't be desperate for certain positions. And Shaun, the two positions that they're kind of desperate for are, lo and behold, is what the NFL is deeming as most important right now with offensive line and interior defensive line. And they desperately need to address those holes. And we are 2 weeks away from the draft with 2 picks inside the top 100.
Yeah, and I really don't want to be negative. I kind of got accused of this on Twitter today because the more and more I was thinking about it after the Faalele. I'm sorry.
Don't let Twitter and social media change any feeling about this team until it's done, until they do something about it, until they address it, until it's at a spot and I could see the depth chart of, I like where we're at. I'm going to complain about it because just me sitting on my hands and being like, let's just wait and see, especially with offensive line and the interior defensive line with the Giants, especially over the last couple years. If I have the approach of, it'll all work out, I'm going to be wrong. Most likely.
Exactly. And I think this is just kind of like my headliner, and this all connects back to Faalele, what we're talking about here. I think John Harbaugh is obviously the great equalizer in terms of this Giant offseason as a whole. And you assume that they're going to win closer games that they didn't. He's fine-tuned the special teams. I mean, we actually have a legitimate punter. Ricard is going to help the run game. Go on and on. Denard Wilson alone might just help this defense. But this is still a team that lost Cordell Flott. I don't feel comfortable with what they did at the corner position. They have not addressed the D tackle. Like Shelby Harris came in for a look a couple weeks ago. What has happened with that? And honestly, think about this. Greg Van Roten is not even good. He's good. He's not a great player by any means. He's at the back end of his career. But something as cheap and as simple as Greg Van Roten would make all of us just feel better, even in terms of just continuity with the offensive line. So it doesn't even make sense to not have Greg Van Roten here and instead have the plan B Faalele. If you told me they had signed Shelby Harris and they signed Greg Van Roten right now, I feel way better about this team going to the draft. Yes. And they're like the simplest, cheapest things that the Giants could have done. I think that's what's puzzling, Justin. It's their, look, last year when they don't sign Will Fries to play guard, or this year AVT gets that big deal from the Patriots. You live with it, right? Okay, you had a certain number you weren't going to.
Yes.
We're talking about signings that are not going to cost you a lot of money here.
Yes, and they know that they want to do it. Like Joe Shane last year going after Will Fries for day one of free agency, and then them going after Elijah Vera Tucker early in free agency this cycle. They know that they need to do it and they need to address it. Now, the one thing that I do respect is I don't want the pivot to be, all right, let's panic and let's overpay for the next best player if we don't feel like he fits and we don't feel like he's good. That's the one thing I respect. But that's why the pivot to a Greg Van Roten for, all right, continue. If you're going to play 17 games, if you're going to be good, if you're going to be all right, if you're going to provide the continuity, then that just makes sense. That just makes sense. A Daniel Faalele, an investment in Daniel Faalele, regardless of the upside or there is no harm in making this move. So many people will justify bad moves by saying there is no harm to it. I can't stand that.
Of course,
can't stand that justification of, well, there is no harm. There is no what's the risk? It's a bad move.
It is.
Same thing with Evan Neal. Neal, by the way. It's a bad move. I don't care if there's zero guaranteed money to it. It's a bad move to bring back a player that is going to be bad. He's going to be bad. It's a bad move to bring him back. What's the risk? He's bad. He's a bad football player.
And you're going to sit there in camp and have Faalele and Evan Neal taking guard reps. And again, card subject to change. The draft could change everything. We get that. One of them by virtue is going to look better than the other, and probably, it's like having a nice shiny turd. It's still a turd.
Faalele is going to make the team.
I know, but so you're saying what's the harm? Here's the harm. His competition is Evan Neal and Josh Azudu, right? And then let's just say they take a guard in the 6th round because they do other things like Caleb Downs, like we'll get to in a little bit. I think the harm is Greg Van Roten right now staring at the roster going, am I going to sign back there when they just signed the guy that this coach had for 2 years and just signed him, who played every snap at guard for him?
Yeah, he should, because he's better and he'll win the job.
Okay, he's better and he should win the job. But as a human being, if I'm Greg Van Roten and I see this and I go, well, yeah, I know I'm better, I'm going to win the job. But even if I'm better, am I sure I'm going to win the job if that's that guy's guy?
I don't think that's the approach. Now, what Greg Van Roten will be wondering is if he's unsigned after the draft and the Giants take an offensive lineman at 5 or 37, then he'll be wondering, why am I really going to come back to this situation?
Yeah. That's true. And maybe that's maybe that's Greg Van Roten's approach. Maybe he's like, I want to see what you guys do in the draft. And the Giants then sign Faalele and go, okay, you could wait, but we also need to protect ourselves. So everybody and their mother doesn't know we desperately need a guard in the first or second round.
Yeah. I would much rather play this game of whatever they're doing, right? The waiting game, the comp pick game, whatever the hell they're trying to do. I would much rather play it at interior linebacker, even though I would be annoyed. I'd rather them do it at wide receiver. I'd rather them do it almost anywhere else besides O-line and interior D-line, where I think one of the main reasons why they've been so awful as a run defense is because they just have no answer next to Dexter Lawrence. And then when Dexter Lawrence is off the field, as we have talked about on this show, the on-off splits of Dexter Lawrence on the field, this defense gives up like over 7 yards per play when he is not on the field. Yeah. And they have not, forget the O-line for now, they have not done anything in that area to get better.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I don't know. And look, this is not the roster on opening day. They can still sign guys that are cut. They obviously have a draft. And
two top 100 picks. And that's what you go back to. Where that's the other problem. You're only going to address so much with the 5th overall pick. That's probably either going to be an O lineman. You're not taking an interior D lineman with pick 5. An O lineman, a safety, a linebacker, or a running back. It's one of the 4 positions, or a wide receiver. It's one of the 5 positions that it's going to be, even though I don't think it's going to be a wide receiver.
I would probably scratch that off at this point.
So then it leaves you pick 37 to be like, all right, well, then that's going to be the guy that's going to – and this is why I hate pigeonholing yourself to now that we have to go to these spots because we need people with a pulse that can play there.
And Justin, think about this for a second. I know we're kind of going like long-winded with this. We still have to get to the mocks, but – last year when the Giants traded up for Jackson Dart, and then he obviously became Jackson Dart, right? We all talked about, and think about the Giants traded back into the first, and what did they really give up? And I still agree, for a franchise quarterback, they gave up nothing in a sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, but in turn, here we sit now and seeing the way this approach to the offseason went, and I'm saying I'd still do the trade, but they have turned the lack of a 3rd-round pick right now into something so glaring that they need because they've left so many holes opened up. Like they shouldn't desperately need to add a 3rd-round pick in this draft this badly right now.
Yeah, I also think it's poor. I think Joe Shane has done poor planning. Like for the didn't somebody say who was on a podcast? Was it Schwartz who was on a podcast talking about how Harbaugh got here and obviously impressed with this, impressed with that, but he's like, for such a bad team, they don't have any draft picks.
I think that was Paul Schwartz. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and he's right.
He's right. But also that's got to be one of the first 2 things you figure out when you get the job, John Harbaugh, and start planning ahead before free agency with that.
Which they could trade back. They could trade back from 5. They could trade back from 37. And then all of these things that we're talking about go away. And if that happens, great.
I do assume, by the way, in one of those first 2, they are making a trade. I know we're going to do these mocks and everything, or they're trading Kaytron on draft night.
Yeah. Or, but you know what they say about assuming? It makes an ass out of you and me. Shaun, are you ready to move on to our mocks?
Let's have some fun, man.
Before we move on to our mocks, I got to talk to you about the Fanatics Sportsbook because football season, it may be over, but there's still plenty of ways to get on all the action all year long with the Fanatics Sportsbook. Every time you place a bet, you're earning FanCash up to 10% back on your bets, win or lose. And unlike points that expire, FanCash is the true currency of sport. You can use it on official team gear and collectibles on fanatics.com. Your next bet or profit boost and even exclusive experience across the world of Fanatics. Plus, Fanatics is the home of fair play injury protection. I know Shaun loves that. If your player goes down with an injury in the first half, your bet gets refunded. Refunded or refunded? What do
I think it's refunded. And let me tell you something. The NBA playoffs coming up, you're going to want that insurance.
And if it's part of a parlay, that leg is voided, and the rest of your parlay plays on. Refunded. I said refunded. Bet, earn, and get more out of every game with Fanatics Sportsbook because winning hits different here. They kind of offer stuff that other places don't. And I think I love that. And that's pretty good.
It is awesome. And Fanatics, you're welcome because I laid 7 points with Michigan on Monday night in the national championship game, and I'm still pissed off that game ended at 6.
Hey, that's really good.
Yeah, not good for me. Good for Fanatics.
All right, Shaun. So spoiler alert, This is the Caleb Downs Giants mock draft. We're at pick number 5. Mm-hmm. We both have taken Caleb Downs from Ohio State, 5'11", 206 pounds. He's 21 years old. He is young. He is 9th on the consensus board. Him and Sonny Styles have almost done like a switch. Very crazy how during the season, I think Sonny Styles is like 5th right now on the consensus board, and I think that's where Caleb Downs was kind of for the majority of the season.
Sonny Styles was higher. Like 10, 11 at points.
Yes.
And he's leaped up,
And now they've flipped, and a game of football hasn't even been played. So what's going on? Who's that NBA analyst? That
Brian Windhorst.
What's going on in Milwaukee? Here's the thing about Caleb Downs. Elite production for the last 3 years at 2 different elite schools. The thing that attracts me the most to Caleb Downs is he is the smartest player on the field, and he's been dominating for years at both Ohio State and then dating back to his freshman year at Alabama. 3 different defensive coordinators in 3 different years too. And those defensive coordinators asked him to do a lot of different things, including Matt Patricia this year, which asked him to do a lot of play in like disguise roles and things like that. Dane Brugler, the Beast came out today. And why I love the Beast, one of the reasons why I love the Beast, is because Dane includes excerpts on what coaches say about players and what scouts are saying about players in terms of their work ethic. And that is the most frustrating part of the pre-draft process to me, is because I don't have that information of what are guys' work ethics like and things like that. But this is from Brugler. Teammates praised his all-business attitude towards practice and meetings. And NFL scouts said, our coaches are going to love him because he's a process guy. How he prepares influences how he plays. Shaun, he's like a really good tackler as well. Can't say enough about him as a tackler. He does a great job limiting yak in the quick game.
Doesn't take bad angles like we've gotten used to at the safety play.
1.6 yards after tackle attempt. That is the lowest among FBS safeties. I feel like there's a lot of different things that you could say about Caleb Downs, but I want to ask you this. I feel like he is the safest selection to make at 5 because of his mental makeup, because of his production. The dude just stacks trophies and has stacked accomplishments over the last 3 years at 2 elite schools, but he's also super young. Again, I feel like he is the safest player to take in a draft that doesn't have a lot of sexy options at the top of the draft. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I call it a can't fail. Now, does that mean he becomes Troy Polamalu? No, but he is not going to be a bad football player. Like, he's going to be a good football player that earns a second contract that you think could be a great football player. I'm with you. I think he has the highest floor of any player per any position, and that includes Jeremiah Love in the entire draft. Where he is getting killed, I think, is 2 things right now, Justin. Number one, the argument that we keep having about Jeremiah Love pertains to safeties too, which is, can you possibly take a safety in the top 5 knowing that they're not as involved on every single play? You talk about Eric Berry and Sean Taylor are the 2 highest safeties all time to go on a draft. And that would be the territory, if you're taking Caleb Downs here, that he would approach. There was also a story floated out there by one person that seems to be debunked since, that kind of like sent people shifting around, which was to look into Caleb Downs' medicals. That seems to have been at least kind of stiff-armed to the side.
He hasn't played. He hasn't missed a game in 3 years.
He hasn't missed a game. So we don't know where that came from, but then that began like the slide back. But I think the slide back still has more to do with the value of the safety position. So I would ask you, Justin, because, and again, you don't want to bring everything back to Jeremiah Love, does taking a safety at 5, even if he is the best player in the draft, does that scare you off?
No.
For me, and you're going to say no. For me, the answer is no. And I just think of, I keep coming back to, because it's easy with John Harbaugh to say this, Kyle Hamilton wasn't taken in the top 5. Kyle Hamilton was thought of as one of the best players in that draft. He has since proven to be one of the best players in that draft. He played for John Harbaugh of Baltimore. If you told anybody that Kyle Hamilton was the 5th player taken in that draft, would anybody regret that? No. So I don't see how that could be an issue. And this is a Giant team that you have stacked Abdul Carter to go with Brian Burns on your interior. I'm not even including Dexter Lawrence right now. I'll put him off to his side. Whatever you want to say about the linebacker position, Edmonds is here. But I think adding a Caleb Downs to the secondary, now you're talking about back-to-back years, Abdul Carter and Caleb Downs, first level, last level of defense, getting 2 playmakers like that. And that's how you start building, one of the top-tier defenses in football by having absolute studs at every level.
Yeah, and I mean, he has 7.5 tackles for loss in 2024, 5 tackles for loss in 2025. I don't think Caleb Downs is going to come in here and help make this Giants defense like 32nd against the run versus a top 10 run defense. But I do think it'll really freaking help because of what he was asked to do at Ohio State, his really, really good ability to move forward and to move laterally. He wasn't really asked a ton to kind of like turn his back in coverage, which probably like it's not even a negative, but the biggest question mark that I have about him is that it doesn't seem like he was overly asked to do like a ton in coverage, but you also had teams that were game planning around, we need to avoid him because he is such a playmaker. Like, even though like somewhat you would want a top 5 pick to have more ball production, maybe year over year. He has 2 interceptions every single year of his collegiate career. He had 2 passes defense in 2025 in 14 games. Like, you would want him to have a little bit more ball production. But when you have teams that are literally avoiding him and avoiding his side of the field, or if he's playing center field, avoiding throwing to him in the middle of the field, I mean, you have to take that into account when kind of looking at a player like Caleb Downs. And that's how kind of dominant that he is, that offenses would literally revolve their game plans around avoiding him. So, but I do think like he would, when I started this out talking about the run defense, I do think he would be a major advantage with the run defense as well, especially if you consider Denard Wilson as a good schematic guy. And he was just talking today on Wednesday, the day that we're recording this, wanting to be more like Seattle, which runs out of nickel and dime and things like that. Sure. And at one of the highest rates of the league, not putting like multiple linebackers on the field, putting more safeties and DBs on the field.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was something
pride. Yeah. And taking pride in still being able to stop the run. That's what Denard Wilson is talking about. And Caleb Downs could be like a tone setter in that.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step all over you there, but I think that was important to know, because I'm glad you brought that up. I had almost forgotten that Denard Wilson had made those comments. Every time you put on a Seattle Seahawks game, and this goes back not just this past year, the year before, you wonder at times, wait a minute, they have, Job and Woolen and then Julian Love and Emmanuel. I'm getting his name wrong, but you know what I mean? Like, they would throw, and you'd be like, how are they 6 D-backs deep and all these guys are loaded? I say that to say, if you took Caleb Downs, one of the excuses I've heard is, well, you just spent the 2nd-round pick 2 years ago on Tyler Nubin. You just signed Javon Holland. First of all, neither of those guys are good enough to justify passing on Caleb Downs. But also, I'm not as worried with that mindset from Denard Wilson about getting all of those guys on the field in certain, sets, and all you would hope at that point could feed off each other, and Caleb Downs could set the tone versus the run. Yeah,
and especially Tremaine Edmonds is going to handle a lot of those coverage responsibilities. And if your interior linebacker room is pretty thin to begin with.
Yeah. Very thin.
They've been talking about wanting to put Tyler Nubin in the box more. Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't need to take such massive angles. The angles got a lot thinner when you're playing in the box. I don't know.
I'm old enough to remember a time when Deion Grant did that for the Giants, and he was their 3rd safety. So
I'd be pretty pumped up with Caleb Downs, because I love his mental makeup, his ability to process. His brain allows him to play fast. Is he like hey, would you take Kyle Hamilton at 5 a couple years ago? Hell yeah, I would. Right? Yeah. When we had the 5th and the 7th pick, hell yeah, I would take him with the 5th pick. Hell yeah, I would take him with the 7th pick. I would love to go back and redo that. Right? Kyle Hamilton was this physical beast. Like, he was huge and long and lanky. Right? Caleb Downs isn't like that, but I still think, like, don't overthink it. 3 years, elite production at 2 different elite schools with 3 different defensive coordinators. Guy's stacked his trophy case. He has stacked his accomplishments. He's an All-American over the last 2 years. I'm not overthinking this. If that is the pick and that's what they decide to do, I'm going to feel pretty damn good about that, because I think that they're getting a pretty damn good football player.
Yes, and I know we're going to do a couple more mocks and have different players going here, but if the Giants do not take Caleb Downs at 5, I'm just preparing Giant fans out there. This very easily could end up being a Commander or Cowboy pick in the ensuing picks that follow, and a guy that torments the Giants for years.
Naturally.
Yes.
All right, round 2, pick 37. This is where the draft actually begins.
Yes.
For Shaun and I. So, Shaun, do you want to go first? Who are you taking in round 2 with the 37th overall pick?
Okay, and by the way, I've lost track. The same website we used for last week's NFL mock database, whatever the heck. Okay, so where I got to here at pick 37, I mean, it was staring me right there. A guy who's begun to tumble in a lot of different mocks and a lot of different simulators and a lot of different, experts. I took Peter Woods, Clemson, 21 years old, defensive tackle. He is 6'2", 298. And obviously just like, a screen mover. He would, for the better part of this year, was thought to be the best D tackle that would be coming out. He has slid a little bit, nicknamed Pee-Woo, according to the Beast as well. But Peter Woods, D tackle out of Clemson. He's listed in Dane Brugler's Beast as D tackle number 2 in this draft.
Tough eval, Shaun. Tough eval. Daniel Jeremiah has him ranked 37th in his top 50.
Well, there you go. Right on the money.
I think he's 25th. He's 25th on the consensus board overall. I was at the Clemson LSU game, week 1.
Right. Okay.
And what I saw from that game was powerful hands, the ability to stack and shed, even when he wasn't directly making plays. Like, I found myself just glued to watching Peter Woods and how he was playing and how he was getting rid of blockers, right?
Yes.
Preseason, Bruce Feldman's 2025 Freaks list, Peter Woods was ranked 5th, highlighting him as one of college football's most elite athletes. 490-pound bench press, 700-pound squats, a squat, right? So he's such a freak. There are times where he plays like he is a top 10, top 15 pick. But where was that at the combine? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Where was that explosiveness and that freak athlete at the combine? Because that would have really helped him, and that would have helped his case in a player that is such a tough eval, and there is just zero consistency to his game. Where you watch 2024, and the dude's a freak, and he's playing much better. And 2025, I understand Clemson as a team had national championship college football playoff level expectations in the preseason, and also a team that is full of NFL talent, but they got punched in the mouth as a team. And some of these players, I think even a guy like TJ Parker is also included in this. Like, where did they go? At least TJ Parker went down to the Senior Bowl and kicked some ass. And then it got Clemson fans upset, being like, where was this all season? Peter Woods didn't have a good combine. He didn't go down to the Senior Bowl. So we are left with inconsistent play, really, really good flashes. I need to know, like, this is a guy that I need to get in a room and I need to be like, dude, what are you about? Like, do you want this? Because it seems like the year-to-year fall off, which is scary to see in college. Scary to see that.
Yeah.
That tells me that this is a dude that may not be about it.
And that would scare you from a John Harbaugh point of view. And he's also been downgraded for his arms, 31 and a quarter.
That's also the thing too, Shaun, where like a guy like Caleb Banks has the fact that if you're doubting his injuries and you're doubting his overall consistency and is he available for you? Oh my God, he's just, he's going to be a dude that's going to beat you up and take your lunch money. Like, he's such a freak athletically and physically and, lengthwise. Peter Woods does not even have that to fall back on.
Yeah. No, I mean, no question. But I think the flashes and the pedigree, I think it's another traits guy. I think that's what you bank on when you're making the selection. Yes. And again, it's easier to swallow at 37 as opposed to the top 15 and not reaching there. And this would scream that prototypical, like, Giants go back to their old ways, find a way to get true starting tech. So, like, if Peter Woods doesn't become this perennial Pro Bowl player at 37, but he is, able to kind of, get off the edge, move in the screen game, set up and swallow the run, you totally swallow it. Like, if he becomes Jonathan Hankins, I'm okay with that at 37 because that's what the Giants are looking for. I would not be okay with that taking the top 15, which is why I'm okay with the slide down and taking him here.
I think Peter, like, you're comparing like Jonathan Hankins, like,
I'm saying Jonathan Hankins was like a fine career, but he wasn't the superstar player that Peter Woods was once projected to be.
Peter Woods should be better.
He should be better. I'm just telling you at 37 what I'm satisfied with on what the Giants need and what you're picking there out of a Peter Woods.
I am frustrated. watching Peter Woods because even there were people that would even watch the LSU Clemson game from week 1 and then say his 2024 tape was even better than that, which he was moving different. Like, he was more explosive off the ball. He did look faster in 2024 than he did in 2025. Now, I know they fiddled around with, they screwed with his position a little bit, that he had the different roles and he was doing some different things. But dude, he is such a upper body strength, hand strength for whatever the last couple years, Shaun, I have just been so attracted to in certain prospects, like hand strength and hand fighting, being able to stack and shit. That has been the stuff that has kind of stuck out to me the most. It actually is the main thing that sticks out to me about my second round pick, his ability to use his hands. But Peter Woods is frustrating to me. And if I talk to him, right, and I talk to enough sources down in Clemson, and I do my background work on Peter Woods, because that's going to be the thing that's most important for me. And he's going to come here and he's going to bust his ass for me because he feels like he has something to prove and he wants to be about it, then I'm taking him at 37. I'm feeling great about it, that I possibly got a player that should go in the top 15, top 20 in this draft. But if he's not about it, and there are people that I trust that tell me, nah, dude, like this isn't the guy that you want to invest in, then I'm saying no thank you, and I'm passing on it.
I'm with you. I would pass on it at that point. But
yeah,
again, that's for them to do.
Very, very, very passionate this episode.
I like it, too. You're bringing it, bro. You're ready to go.
Round 2, pick 37. Chase Bisontes, Texas A&M, 6'5", 315 pounds. He's 21 years old. He turns 22 in June. He's a younger guy. He's 43rd on the consensus board. Bad value. Boo. Here's the main thing for me. He went to Don Bosco Prep in Ramsey, New Jersey. And if you know me, I called, I'm pretty sure, I started calling St. Peter's Prep, like the Super Football Conference in New Jersey. I started calling games in like 2020, 2021. I'm pretty sure I called some Chase Bisontes games, and he was opening up holes for Kyle Monungai for a year at Don Bosco. The main thing with Bisontes, I kind of teased this, is his hands. His hands are something else. I feel like it's so rare to see a guy this young be so advanced at his hand fighting, hand replacement. Sometimes they can start too high, but he is always looking to replace and get his hands in a better spot. The snatch, trap, and collapse is awesome too, and it's a part of his great hand fighting arsenal. He is a weight room warrior, 705-pound squat. This is from Dane Brugler. Longtime strength and conditioning coach Tommy Moffitt calls him the strongest collegiate football player that I have ever coached. I think he's a smooth mover overall. When it looks right, he's in control and balance, but because of his lack of length, he does have very, very short arms. He does have the tendency to lunge. I would say he's a better pass blocker than run blocker, but I think with experience and coaching, he can get better and more consistent at it. Knowing that he's a weight room warrior, knowing that he's already so strong, that's where I feel like the potential is there to get better as a run blocker. But I love his hands. I love his ability to move. There are sometimes that I feel like his feet can be a little slow and delayed to recognize those delayed rushers at times, but I still do like his feet. They're pretty quick. They're pretty choppy. I will say, Shaun, because of his age, and now that I finally looked into him and I have these two guys like write-ups and thoughts on him, I like him better than Emmanuel Pregnon. I like him a lot better than Pregnon, a lot more because of Pregnon's age. Only 1 year of good play versus Bisontes is 22 years old, already young, and he has a couple years of starting experience.
He's got like 3,000 snaps under his belt.
Yeah, and he's not 25.
Right. That makes, the experience is there. And obviously, look, he would never play tackle in the NFL based on his arm length, but he did start as a right tackle at Texas A&M, shifted back inside. The only thing that reminds me, like when I look at the weaknesses in his game, the arms, the downward chop, sometimes the bend in the knee, I'm going to relate this back to the Giants. I do see a lot of Will Hernandez in him, which would worry me.
Yeah. That makes sense. The arm, like when guys do get to his chest, it's hard for him to recover, but he does utilize a hop step.
Right.
Does utilize a hop step there, so he knows how to kind of recover and anchor down there. But there are going to be guys that are going to be longer than him in the NFL. There are going to be guys that are going to be stronger than him in the NFL. So this is the worry where, you take a guy who's going to be 22 years old, and if the expectation is for him to start right away, like this is a guy that I could see somewhat struggling. Like Gray Zabel was able to step in and do a decent job for the Seattle Seahawks, in 2025. Like I see Bisontes maybe needing a little bit more time to fully get going get his feet wet. And if he's thrown into the fire right away, like maybe it wouldn't be awesome results.
Yeah, and just real quickly to bring it back to the top of the show, but this is where a Faalele can make sense. If you're not necessarily worried about him starting all season long, and this is somebody like you want to treat like a quarterback that you kind of bring along and you decide through the practice reps when he's ready come October, November, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah. But I like Chase Basantes. Big fan, go Don Bosco.
You're unbelievable.
I was between, actually, I really like Chris Johnson from San Diego State. I really like Chris Johnson.
Is that the running back?
No, the cornerback.
The cornerback. I'm sorry.
You're getting Chris Johnson from the Tennessee Titans. Is that who you thought I was talking about?
It's been a day. Yes.
I also want to make sure that I'm getting the right. Getting his
Dude, also, I've done this freaking wheel of these mock drafts and gone through these players.
It's San Diego State. Did I say that?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, good. All right, Chris Johnson from San Diego State. I was between these two. But because right now, like, hey, if we take Caleb Downs at 5, right? I don't think I can walk away from day 2 of the NFL draft without a guard. So even like Chris Johnson, who I may like a little bit better at cornerback, I feel like I have to take a Chase Basantes, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, which does suck. Again, you should be in a position where you're taking the best player, and that is a position of need. But I'm with you. You can't afford it. Okay.
Shaun, before we move on to our 4th round pick,
which we share,
by the way, and I really wanted to avoid this, but I really do like this guy. Today's episode is sponsored by GLD. All right, fellas, let's talk about upgrading your look for a second. If you've ever tried buying men's jewelry, you know it's either overpriced or just doesn't hold up, and that's where GLD really stands out. They've built a reputation for high-quality pieces that are designed to last. Everything is waterproof, sweatproof, and backed by a lifetime guarantee. You're getting clean design, strong materials, and attention to detail without paying those crazy retail markups. What's also great is the range. They've got chains, pendants, rings, watches, and even officially licensed pieces with leagues like the NFL. So you can rep your team or your style however you want. And no matter your budget, there are options that still look and feel premium. Work hard and change the game. For a limited time only, new customers are getting an insane deal. Use code GIANTS to get 40% off at GLD.com. That's 40% off with code GIANTS at GLD.com. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you over there. Thank you, GLD.
You want me to do it? You want to do it?
You know what? You do it. I've been yapping enough. I have a lot of notes on Elijah.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. You said it. All right. So here's the deal. Justin and I both here in round 4. Let me get back the pick number the Giants have here.
105.
Pick number 105, Elijah Sarratt, the wide receiver out of Indiana. He is soon to be 23 years old at the end of May. He's 6'2", 207 pounds. He does have a grade in Dane Brugler's Beast, as we pointed out in the 2nd or 3rd round. But Justin, the interesting thing, which is why I think it's fascinating that you two landed on him in round 4, is I'm not going to lie to the audience. I did multiple mock drafts where we started with Caleb Downs. I just wanted to kind of see where the wheel was going. And I got to the 5th straight mock draft where when I got to this pick in the 4th round, this was the consensus best player on the board in all 5. Now, think about all the teams and all the iterations. He kept being there at 105. So it made me, of course, go deep dive. This has to be the guy. This has to be the pick. It also fits somewhat of a need for the Giants. And if you watch enough of these Indiana games with Fernando Mendoza and the run they went through in the Big Ten and then the run they went through in the college football playoff, every time Fernando Mendoza needed somebody to high point the football, it was Elijah Sarratt, who is big body control. He can go get up there. He plays physical. I'm going to throw somebody out there who he could only dream to be, but he has like some A.J. Brown in him as well because he plays big. But yeah, that's the kind of feel you get. And in the 4th round, maybe it's just because I kept getting fooled into, wow, he's available while he's available and how much I dove in. But now I kind of fell in love with him in 24 hours, Justin.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. One of the most productive wide receivers in college football over the last couple of years. Led the Big Ten with 15 touchdowns. A lot of the stats that I'm getting with, I'm leaning on @NoFilm_analysis. He puts out some really, really good stats for running backs and wide receivers. And I usually am pretty anti like some of these bigger, highly contested catch wide receivers that can't fully separate. I'm usually very anti and out on them. Right. But I'm going to tell you why I'm in on Sarratt. He's crazy efficient. He converted a first down on an outstanding 54% of his career targets, with 13.2% going for a touchdown. That's 98th and 96th percentile among receivers dating back to 2019. Just a major, major weapon inside the red zone as well.
Yes.
I believe like most of his touchdowns, like 8 or 9 of his touchdowns from 2025 came from inside the 10-yard line. That definitely led all college football. He's also phenomenal with contested catches.
He's everything we dreamed Kenny Golladay would be.
Please. He converted 57.4% of his 94 contested targets, the best percentage among prospects with 55-plus tested targets. He was 30th in yards per route run in the nation this year. A career drop rate around 3%. That's career drop rate 3%, Shaun Morash. I know you love that.
I get
a lot of I think ceiling, Keenan Allen.
You know what? That's a good comp, Justin.
Not flashy, not extravagant, but knows how to get open. And especially it shows up in zone coverage, where among receivers drafted since 2019, Elijah Sarratt has the largest difference in open target rate against zone versus man. It's over 25% different. He joins DK Metcalf, Nico Collins, Henry Ruggs, and David Bell as the only receivers with a 25% plus difference in the open target rate against zone versus man. Why is this significant? Most of the time in the NFL now, NFL defenses are running some sort of zone coverage. He is the clutch go-to guy on third down as well. Changes up his release package at the line. He was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school, and COVID made it difficult to really get recruited, even in college. Cignetti is at James Madison, and then he leaves to go to Indiana. Sarratt follows him there. It works out. It works great. Shaun, I think this guy could be a big slot in the NFL, even though, I think most of the time he lined up as an outside receiver.
Yeah.
But I think in the NFL, he could be a big slot, can also be a good outside wide receiver. He's not shifty. He's not extravagant after the catch, but he just wins. He could be really, really effective. He has been really effective, and this is one of those prospects that I don't think you should overthink. He's been good. Don't overthink it.
I'm with you. So, and for those of you listening, you might be wondering, well, you guys are speaking glowingly. We're talking about a guy that you guys have found available in the 4th round. How does this happen? You just alluded to it. He doesn't have that after catch burst, speed getting down the field. He's just not a speed weapon, but he knows, like you said, how to get open, how to make these plays inside the red zone. And I think on a team that's already added a lot of speed, right? And I know they're 1-year deals with Austin and Mooney, but we know Malik Neighbors, when he gets back to form, has all the speed in the world. I also think Sarratt's underrated blocking-wise in the run game with his big body as well, which is going to play to what the Giants are trying to do. I'm not sure that when you take a guy like this in the 4th round, knowing he could be a weapon in the red zone and knowing he could also be really efficient on third downs, I'm less worried about the speed game. They shouldn't have to worry about every single one of these weapons being an absolute speed demon, and I think that's where this will fit the Giant offense. Yeah,
for sure. I don't think he is this awesome separator. That's not why you're taking him. But you want to know what? For all of the guys that have been like a Keon Coleman or who's the kid that from Florida State that the Panthers took a couple years ago?
Oh, damn it. Hold on.
It's going to bug me.
I know.
But for all those guys, right? They're like, oh, they're just awesome contested catch guys. Elijah Sarratt is actually the best at contested catches.
Wait a minute, now you're throwing me off. You're not talking about Kelvin Benjamin, are you?
No, I'm talking about they took him 2 years ago.
I know. I just Googled freak like an idiot. I did Panthers, Florida State, and then I started thinking about the Wesley Steinberg, Kelvin Benjamin tweet, and I'm like, there's no way.
Nope, I'm not talking about Kelvin Benjamin. Not Devin Funchess, even though that's another big.
Yeah, man, the Panthers take a lot of fat receivers. Not Poitier, right?
No.
Who am I thinking of?
Oh my God, this is
now. I think I don't know. Are you sure it was Florida State?
Probably not.
All right, good job.
I know.
Is he still a Panther?
Yeah.
Jalen Coker?
No, he's a slot guy. Also, not in the first round.
A slot guy. Who the hell did they take? This is a terror. We might have to edit this. Oh, Xavier Legette?
Thank you.
You're right.
Yes.
I should have gotten that quicker.
Elijah Sarratt is actually really, really good at contested catches. So it's not just, this guy can't separate. So yeah, he's a contested catch guy. No, Sarratt's actually really damn good at it. So
I like it.
There you go. All right. So we're really into day 3 now. I'm going to take Chris McClellan from the University of Mizzou. At 6'4", 313 pounds. He's 22 and a half years old. He's 111th on the consensus board, and I grabbed him with the 145th pick. Value. 5.5 tackles for loss in 2024, 8 tackles for loss in 2025, 2.5 sacks in 2024, and 6 sacks in 2025. He's been a starter for the last 2 years at Mizzou. He was with Florida. He was at the University of Florida in 2022, 2023, not a starter. Really good gradual growth over the last 2 years. 2025 did show a level of growth. He's a strong player who can kind of hold his own. Not overtly athletic or twitchy, but I still think he moves pretty well. He's able to read and react to what's going on in the backfield. He was 31st in run stop rate in the nation among interior defensive linemen this year. He has not missed a game in his 2 years as a starter. This is the pick that I like the least, Shaun, out of all the ones in this mock draft. And I do like this mock draft that I made. But he was at the Senior Bowl. He did well. He flashed a little bit down there amongst offensive linemen that weren't very good. And I like the value at this point. So Chris McClellan, I'm adding an interior defensive lineman.
Okay. And look, at this point in the draft, 5th round, 6th round, that's where you try to hope you take the flyers on the interior on both kinds of lines.
Yes.
So, I don't hate that at all. Look, the upside is he is a guy that starts in the NFL, first, second down kind of player as well. I think that's a guy that you groom. But here's the problem, Justin. Again, with the Giants D tackle room, I don't think that's the kind of player that I think impacts the team like in the immediacy where you're hoping to get like really good
day 3 you're not. Day 3, you're not going to get that.
Yeah, I mean, certain positions you can. You're not getting that here with the D tackle position. Okay, so I will now go. I'm going the center route, Justin. I'm taking Trezone III out of Texas A&M. He is going to be 24 years old in October, so currently sitting at 23. He is a 5th-year senior, the ultimate team captain, true leader type of player. I feel like we've been visiting Texas A&M a lot in our 2 mock drafts here. Oh, yeah. He was 4-year starter, again, team captain in 2025. Did I give his size, or did I screw that up? 6'6.5", 312 pounds, 32.5-inch arms, and a guy that played a lot of left tackle, projects as a center in the NFL, again, with that arm length. And a guy, though, that unfortunately, when he gets beat off the rush, boy, does he get beat, Justin. But it kind of feels like this is another one of those trades guys where you're banking on leadership and you're banking on the amount of snaps and versatility he played and hope that you kind of groom this guy a la what the Giants did last year with Marcus Bowe.
Yeah, I took him in my last mock draft. So we doubled up. I
totally forgot that.
Yeah.
My bad.
You also took another player that I took in my last mock draft, too.
Justin, I'm sorry, pal.
That's okay.
I had tunnel vision thinking about my own mock draft.
There's really good players.
Okay.
They're just really good players, and you love them so much. I try to be different and not take the same players over and over. But Shaun just loves my players that now he's taking them in the second version.
Damn, you see, I got off my players, and I got out of your players.
It'd be really funny where, I think sometimes mid-drive, they would put Trezone at center.
Yeah.
He had over 100 snaps at center. He was snapping down at the Senior Bowl. That's the position that he was mainly playing at. But he would go left tackle to center, and he'd be like, huh? Why'd they do that? But he did it, and he did it well. He's a really good leader. All right, 6th round. 3 picks in the 6th round. 186, 192, and 193. Our heads are about to be spinning.
And now I'm panicking. Now I'm panicking. Which one of my last 3 was also your pick last draft? I'm so bad.
I took Kevin Coleman Jr., and I doubled down with the University of Missouri, Mizzou. 5'10", 178 pounds. He's 167th on the consensus board. I got really good value. Another receiver that I'm taking with a 3% career drop rate that has him top 5 among the 2026 class. Really good after the catch. And he was a really good separator down at the Senior Bowl. But the film will tell you that he kind of had a little bit of trouble separating from the slot. Despite his small frame, held up reasonably well in contested catches, 53.7% of his career contested target grab rate. 93% of his career snaps are coming from the slot. You get it with his size. This is basically going to be a slot-only receiver. Yak ability is a plus in my book. Returned punts all 4 seasons and average 8.2 yards per return. So a backup for Calvin Austin, somebody that maybe can compete with a Gunnar Olszewski. And I took Kevin Coleman, and he was really good down at the Senior Bowl.
So when you look into Kevin Coleman a little more, it's so funny. What you keep getting a lot of? Poor man's Calvin Austin.
Great.
Which is perfect, right? Isn't it
Yes.
so perfect? And I don't know if it's perfect when you think of, does Calvin Austin need a poor man's version of himself? But, either way, that works. All right, Justin, I'm in total panic mode now, trying to go back and find your last trip, but it is what it is. Here we go. I'm going round 6, pick 186, Matt Gulbin, interior offensive lineman, projects again as a center. So I'm backing this up here. Out of Michigan State, played 4 years at Wake Forest before transferring to Michigan State. I know you want to get me to the size and all that other crap. He's 23, going to be 24 in October. Size on Matt Gulbin here. He is 6'4", 305, 31 3/4 inch arms, but very small hands, Justin, at 9.5 inch for that interior of the offensive line.
That is not the guy that I took.
Okay, good. I'm thinking it's Kennedy now, but we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah.
And again, he gets killed for having the short arms here. But I'm throwing a dart here, right? I'm trying to find guys, bank on trades that have played a lot of football on the interior of the offensive line, goes from the ACC in here to the Big Ten. And here's what I like, Justin. On day 3, especially when the Giants have 3 6-round picks, I know we're kind of getting to the other ones, I like backing up stuff, right? Hey, I throw some at the interior offensive line. Give me another. Go let those guys as rookies fight each other out and kind of use those picks to hope that I materialize like one player with 2 darts at a similar position.
You know what's really funny?
What?
I did that on day 3 with Sarratt. Very different types of players. Sarratt and Kevin Coleman, right?
There you go. Yeah.
I'm now doing that at cornerback.
All right.
My final 2 picks.
Let's go.
And I'm going to rip them together. I'm taking athletic freaks. Ephesians Prysock from the University of Washington with my 192nd pick. He's 196 pounds. He's 149th on the consensus board. I get good value again. And 193, back-to-back 6th-round picks the New York Giants have. Charles Demmings. And he's kind of like, I feel like a draft Twitter lore right now. 6'1", 193 pounds. He's 168th on the consensus board. Prysock from Washington has 33-inch arms. You had me at hello. And a 9.66 RAS score. Played on punt coverage for all 4 seasons, according to Dane Brugler. Per Dane Brugler, staff told NFL scouts he prefers to be coached hard. He doesn't like to be coached soft, Shaun. He prefers to be coached hard.
Coach him hard.
Both players are raw from a technical standpoint. They are pretty raw. Limited ball production for Prysock. 1 interception over the last 2 years. One of it came in 2025. Does have, over the last 3 years, he does have 20 career passes defense, so he is around the football, even if he's not intercepting the football. But he has a lot to work on from a technical standpoint. I love taking a chance on corners with traits like this, especially in a press-heavy system. And Demmings, very similar. 32-inch arms, has an RAS score of that's above 9.66. I think it's like 9.97.
Great for the
Demmings. And I put up, and I'm saying RAS score because I care about it for corners. I would rather take a chance on corners with the high RAS score because I feel like that could translate a little bit more to the NFL level. It's who's the corner from Seattle? Quinyon Mitchell. Seattle, and then he went to Philly. I have a horrible memory this episode. And you're not helping me.
Woolen?
Yes, Tariq Woolen.
Thank you.
Big lesson on if there's a corner that can run fast and if he's got crazy long arms and even if he comes from a small school, who the hell cares? Just take him. And Demmings led the team in interceptions and passes defense in 2025. Has a total of 22, like 31 passes defensed over the last 3 years and 8 interceptions over the last 3 years. Very, very small school, but I am a fan. Has a lot of raw things that both of these guys have to work on. Yeah.
I'm just cracking up because I mentioned Tariq Woolen at the beginning of this episode and then couldn't pull him just now.
There you go.
Perfect. Okay, Justin, I know we want to get through this real quickly here. So for me, my final 2 picks, round 6, pick 192, Kaytron Allen, who is 23 years old, running back, Penn State, 5'11", 216, 29.5-inch arms. Look, here's the deal with Kaytron Allen. What I don't like not really a special teams contributor. You're not bringing this guy in here to go return kicks, gone on special teams, but he can be kind of a guy that runs between the tackles, plays bigger than even his size indicates. And the reason I took Kaytron Allen here, he was best running back available. I'm not going to lie to you, in the mock simulator. And as I'm going through and I'm trying to think of what plays on day 3, I've already backed up interior offensive linemen. I don't mind throwing flyers on running backs. And if all we've heard this offseason, well, the Giants were in on Kenneth Walker. Well, they might be in on Jeremiah Love. If I make it to round 6 and this team still hasn't taken a running back, I got to assume that this is what John Harbaugh is going to do. So I went Kaytron Allen here. Although I got to be honest with you, after making the selection, didn't love a lot of the what I've watched and what I read up on. And the final, you want to comment? Or?
Oh, yeah. I want that final pick because it's my favorite pick you made.
Okay. And the final pick I made, which now it's totally coming back to me, round 6, pick 193, cornerback, Jaden Kennedy, 22 years old, out of Oregon, 5'10", 181, 30-inch arms. Now, can I tell you my reason before you kind of go back and talk about him, the more I thought about him?
Yes, he's going to be so good.
I kind of think he's going to be good. And if we're being real, doesn't Drew Phillips deserve true competition? Like, the guy
I think Jaden Kennedy's a safety.
Okay. Oh, and that's right. We talked about this last week. Now this is all coming back to me. Yeah. But the more I think about his slot corner stuff too, like I keep coming back to Drew Phillips, dude, and I love him, but like he got benched last year multiple times. We don't know what the hell the deal is in coverage, and I think it's totally fine to bring in a guy with safety versatility that can play some slot corner and challenge a young player like that in year 3 where it's such a critical year.
Yeah, but again, I think Kennedy, even though he has a lot of experience in the slot, I think his body, I think he's better as a safety. I think he could survive kind of at both. Mm-hmm. I mean, just the stats that he has, lowest passer rating allowed amongst 2026 NFL draft cornerbacks, 4th, fewest yards allowed per catch. It's Kennedy at 6.1. Fewest yards allowed per coverage snap among Big Ten cornerbacks. It's Kennedy that's number 1 in that category. I just think he's going to be really, like, the advanced stats are there. He was a standout at the East-West Shrine Bowl as well. He's a feisty competitor. He really hits hard despite like his size not being that big at all, 5'11", 181 pounds. He ran a 4.4. He plays fast, and I don't think he just runs fast either. So I think Kennedy is going to be a really good, I mean, for a day 3 pick, I think Kennedy is going to be a guy that's going to stand out in the NFL as a day 3 pick.
Don't discount day 3 safeties. The Giants may not win a Super Bowl without Michael Johnson as a rookie 7th-round pick safety.
Oh,
how about that, Justin? I apologize on that. Our big board's all over the place here as we go through this. Can't believe I nailed 2 players.
Subconsciously, my picks were so good in last week's mock that subconsciously they seeped into your brain.
I know,
and you just took them.
But you know this time of year, Justin, you're going through a million guys trying to catch up. I mean, you even. It's
a compliment to me.
Well, I don't want to compliment you.
Oh,
how about? Okay. Yeah, screw that. That being said, I'm going to make a long-term prediction. We like doing this on the Evan and Tiki show. Long-term prediction.
Yes, please.
Something just internally in my gut is now telling me, because this just became our thing, the Giants are going to land Jaden Kennedy on day 3 of the draft. If we get one player right the entire draft, something in my gut tells me it will be this.
Start reporting. People need to start reporting more on top 30 visits, by the way. I don't know if that's how the Giants are still going to operate with John Harbaugh at the helm, because we got so damn good at predicting the Giants draft because we would simply just evaluate everybody on their top 30 list and they would take every single one of those players. Start reporting on top 30 picks, and if they meet with Jaden Kennedy, then he's going to be a Giant.
Good call. Good call.
But also, nobody's really reporting on it.
Well, who the hell's at the building anyway? John Harbaugh's on Zoom. They're redoing half the building. Does anybody even know who's entered the place?
Are they just not having top 30 visits?
No, they're having them.
There's certain teams that, like the Jaguars, like, I don't know what the hell. The Jaguars, like, they don't, like, meet with anybody.
No,
I don't even think they go to the Senior Bowl. They don't go to the Combine. They don't do anything. They're just like, we're just going to watch film. And that's going to be like it.
We watch film and make sure people have passports to go play 2 games overseas.
And we'll look at our data and analytics internally. And the GM's 30 years old, and he's smarter than all of us.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. Okay. We'll be back next week. The Giants, they signed a guard. They signed Lucas. They signed 2 offensive linemen this week. Maybe they'll sign 4 more next week.
It's a numbers game, Justin. It's a numbers game.
All right. We'll see you next week. Have a good weekend. Let's go, Giants.
It starts today. Let's go Giants! We bleed blue!